The movie starts in an old rundown construction site. The place looks abandoned and small tremors ripple through puddles of water, hinting that something big is coming. But the real action begins inside a decaying factory, where an intense fight shakes the crumbling walls. Futuristic weapons, straight out of a sci-fi movie, blast through the building, leaving destruction in their wake. This is where we meet Eli, a tough 14-year-old from Detroit who's had his fair share of struggles. He often visits his mother's grave, looking for comfort in his difficult life. To get by, he sneaks into abandoned buildings, searching for scrap metal to sell. One day, however, everything changes. It was just another ordinary workday for Eli until it wasn't. As he walked into a strange building filled with eerie noises, he stumbled upon a shocking sight. The remains of a fierce battle. Masked and armored figures lay motionless, scattered across the wreckage, and amid the chaos, something caught his eye. A small, strange-looking rectangular device. A weapon, maybe. His curiosity got the best of him, and he picked it up. The moment he did, the device suddenly sprang to life. Before he could even process what was happening, one of the lifeless bodies on the floor twitched, then moved, then reached for him. Terrified, Eli dropped the device and bolted, his heart pounding as he ran for his life. Eli heads home, but the atmosphere is far from welcoming. His dad, Harold, is upset about Eli getting into a school fight, which led to his suspension. Harold isn't just being strict. He cares about Eli, his adopted son, and believes his late wife would have wanted him to stay on the right path. Meanwhile, Eli's older brother, Jimmy, has just been released from prison. During dinner, Jimmy asks Harold for a job at his construction site, hoping for a fresh start. But Harold immediately shuts him down, saying there's no place for an ex-con in his business. The rejection stings and tensions quickly rise, and Jimmy, frustrated, accuses Harold of never truly acting like his father. The argument gets heated and Jimmy storms out of the house. As night falls, Jimmy finds himself hanging around with some shady guys, Taylor and Dutch, the most feared gangsters in the neighborhood. Jimmy is in serious trouble, owing a massive $60,000 debt from his time in prison. Taylor isn't the kind of guy who waits around, and he warns Jimmy that if he doesn't pay up soon, his family will be in danger. Meanwhile, Eli cannot stop thinking about the strange encounter he had earlier, and the memory sticks with him, even creeping into his dreams. His curiosity gets the best of him, and he feels drawn back to that mysterious building where he first saw the alien-like weapon. By the time the clock strikes midnight, Eli is back searching for the high-tech weapon when he finally finds it hidden in a corner, and he decides to take it. His heart races with excitement, and he can hardly believe what he's just discovered. Back at home, the tension is still thick. Jimmy and Harold are still not getting along. Meanwhile, Eli quickly climbs through his bedroom window, staying out of the argument happening downstairs. Jimmy is desperate now, and he begs Harold to lend him $60,000 to pay off his debt to Taylor, but Harold refuses. Jimmy knows that his father has the money, and it stings to be turned down. He feels like he doesn't matter anymore, like Eli, the adopted son, has taken his place in the family. After this, in a small, lonely motel room, Jimmy sits by himself, struggling to figure out how to deal with his money problems. He feels trapped, desperately searching for a way out of his debt. Meanwhile, back at home, Harold confronts Eli about the scrap metal he's been collecting. After some questioning, Harold realizes that Eli has been stealing from his own construction site. Disappointed, he tells Eli to return everything right away. As they head out, Eli complains about Harold's strict rules and admits he feels like nothing more than a replacement in the family. His words sting, but Harold gently reassures him. He reminds Eli that he and his late wife always wanted to raise him with love because he truly is their son. When Harold arrives at the site, he notices signs of a break-in at the office. Sensing trouble, he tells Eli to stay in the truck while he goes inside. As Harold steps into the office, he's shocked to find Jimmy, Taylor, and Dutch rummaging through his safe. Jimmy, desperate to protect his father, begs Harold to leave, but Harold isn't one to back down, especially when his own son and his rough friends are stealing his money. Things take a deadly turn, and Taylor suddenly pulls out a gun and shoots Harold, killing him on the spot. Jimmy, overwhelmed with shock and rage, fights back wildly, hitting Dutch and killing him. Realizing the disaster he's created, Jimmy grabs the bag of money and runs, leaving his father's lifeless body behind. At the gate, Jimmy quickly jumps into Harold's truck, where Eli is waiting, not suspecting anything. Eli has been patiently sitting there, thinking his dad will pick him up, but Jimmy doesn't tell him the full truth. He simply says that Harold got busy with work and that everything is fine. Back at home, Jimmy tries to calm himself down after everything that just happened. To keep Eli from worrying, he makes up another story. They're going on a trip to Lake Tahoe, their mom's favorite place, and their dad will meet them there later. The idea of a fun road trip seems to comfort Eli, and without wasting any time, they quickly pack their bags and leave, walking away from more than just their home. On the run from the dangerous Taylor's gang, brothers make a pit stop in Iowa. Meanwhile, Taylor is grieving over Dutch's death and is determined to get revenge on Jimmy. Back at the motel, Eli is in the bathroom, totally fascinated by his new toy gun. But this isn't just any gun. It has incredible features he never imagined. While Eli is figuring out the secrets of this strange alien tech, a group of masked armored figures is searching the ruins where he found it. They are on a mission to get their lost weapon back. Missing home, Eli texts his dad about meeting up in Tahoe, but he doesn't know that Taylor now has his dad's phone, and his message accidentally reveals their location. As night falls, Jimmy takes Eli to a club where they meet a girl named Millie. Jimmy gets a little too close to her, which angers Lee, the club owner, and his gang. Eli tries to defuse the situation, but things quickly get out of hand. Lee's gang starts roughing up Jimmy, so Eli pulls out his weapon and blasts a chunk out of the wall. The whole room freezes in shock, giving Eli, Jimmy, and Millie a chance to make a run for it. The weapon's activation doesn't go unnoticed. The armored figures quickly lock onto its location. Away from the chaos of the club, Jimmy is curious about the weapon, but they soon realize that only Eli can use it. While testing it out, they remember that Jimmy left the bag of money back at the club. Since they are low on cash, they decide to retrieve it later and spend the night at an inn. Eli ends up sharing a room with Millie, and the two grow closer as they talk about their childhoods. Eli shows her a scar on his hand, a painful reminder of his biological parents, and Millie opens up about her own scars left by her her mother. Meanwhile, without knowing it, Taylor and his crew are getting closer to Jimmy and his friends as they head towards Tahoe. Millie agrees to help Jimmy get his money back, but only if they drop her off out west once it's all over. Jimmy convinces Eli to use the weapon's power to retrieve the cash, promising that no one will get hurt. Late at night, the three of them sneak over to Lee's hideout. While Lee is busy playing cards, Eli and Jimmy quietly slip inside. Eli holds up his weapon, keeping everyone under control, while Jimmy pressures Lee into giving the money back. When things start to get tense, Eli fires a single shot, blowing up a car and creates the perfect distraction for their escape. Afterward, the mysterious armored figures arrive at Lee's hideout and they put the pieces together and using their advanced tracking skills uncover Eli's identity. With the money they got back, Jimmy, Eli and Millie head to Nevada, where they stay in a fancy hotel. While there, Eli borrows Millie's phone to call his dad, but before he can dial, a news report catches his attention. His heart sinks as he sees a shocking headline. His father was killed in a shootout. Shaken and heartbroken, Eli turns to Jimmy for answers. Just then, the security notices them, and before they know it, they are caught and handed over to the police. Jimmy tries to calm his younger brother and find a way out, but their luck has run out since the police take both of them in. As Millie makes a quick escape, she signals Eli from a distance. She watches helplessly as Eli and Jimmy are taken into custody and powerless to do anything but hope for a way out. At the police station, the officers take away Eli's weapon along with any weapons Jimmy had. Meanwhile, Taylor hears about Jimmy getting arrested and gathers his gang determined to take revenge. Inside the station, Eli gets 10 minutes to talk to Jimmy. That's when Jimmy finally tells the truth about what really happened that day. Feeling completely betrayed, Eli loses his temper, yells at his brother and storms out with tears running down his face. Before long, Taylor and his gang burst into the station ready to kill. They take down all the police officers in their way, and sensing danger, Eli quickly hides in one of the rooms. The gang member drags a wounded officer inside the room, and the officer barely hanging on spots Eli and with his last bit of strength, hands him the key to the evidence room before passing away. Eli races against the clock to get his weapon back, and meanwhile, Taylor reaches the cell where Jimmy is locked up. His men drag Jimmy outside and start beating him up. Suddenly, gunshots ring out from the outside, making Taylor stop and check what's happening. It turns out that FBI agent Morgan Hunter and other agents have teamed up with the local police to take on Taylor's crew in a shootout. Inside the station, Eli finally gets his weapon and rushes to help his brother. He takes down most of Taylor's gang, but in the chaos, a stray shot from his weapon blasts a huge hole in the roof, catching the attention of the FBI team outside. Jimmy and Eli step out thinking it's all over, only to find themselves in the station's lobby, completely surrounded by the police. Realizing they have no way out, they drop their weapons and kneel, and Jimmy turns to Eli apologizing, but before he can say more, Taylor appears, aiming a gun at him. Meanwhile, outside, the officers spot two strange-looking figures rushing towards them, and sensing danger, they open fire, but to their shock, the bullets have no effect. The armored figures storm into the lobby and toss a device that releases a powerful shockwave, sending Eli flying into a corner. When he gets up, Eli notices something strange. The world around him has completely frozen in time. Everything is still except for him, and Eli steps outside and is shocked to see Taylor's bullet frozen in midair, just inches away from Jimmy. The FBI team and the police are also frozen in place, caught in the middle of storming the room. Gripping his weapon tightly, Eli prepares to fight the armored figures standing before him. But instead of attacking, they remove their helmets, revealing a man and a woman. The man speaks calmly, convincing Eli to lower his weapon. He explains that they had come from a war-ravaged world, the same world Eli was born in. To prove it, the man shows a scar identical to Eli's, revealing their shared origins. He also explained that this scar is the reason Eli can use the weapon. The man then explains to Eli that he was hidden on Earth to keep him safe, but one day his home planet will need him. He also tells Eli that the fallen soldiers he found in the building were actually sent to kill him. As they get ready to leave, the woman goes to turn the floating bullet back towards Taylor. Meanwhile, the man tells Eli to stay with his brother. When he shakes Eli's hand, a glowing red pattern appears on the back of the man's hand. Then the man and the woman step through a portal back to their world. As soon as they leave, time starts moving again, and Taylor is hit by his own bullet, killing him. Eli and Jimmy are taken into custody, and FBI agent Morgan Hunter talks to Eli, trying to get answers, but Eli gives a secret signal to Jimmy, deciding to keep quiet. Seeing that Eli won't talk, Morgan walks away, determined to figure out the truth. The police then take Jimmy away, and just then Eli sees a taxi pull up. Millie steps out, smiling at him, and the two decide to stay together, and the movie ends. If you enjoyed this recap, make sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell icon for more thrilling movie breakdowns. Until next time, this is your host for Movie Recap, signing off. Thanks for watching.